Well, there's our half. So the score, the New York Giants 27, the Houston Oilers nothing.
Well, hello. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to check out this video. And welcome to the Gridiron. And before I get started, just want to say thank you so much to everyone out there who's been watching my videos. Thank you. If you can maybe give this video a thumbs up or possibly leave a comment below, maybe even share this video, it would mean so much to me. But at least anyway, just thank you so much for just taking time out of your day to check out this video. Thank you all. Well, now, possibility of who the Giants might go after as far as tackles in free agency. Now, there's you know, with that all the positions, there's a lot, and there's some nice ones out there too. Now that Nate Solder is gone, thank God. And according to PFF last year, I mean, you don't need to be a rocket scientist for that. He graded out a 60.3, which was the worst of his career last year. His pass block was a 52.7, which once again was the worst of his career. And that was at right tackle, not at left tackle. So, I mean, his time was up. I mean, he wasn't, some of the times he just wasn't really good at all. But what even made it even worse was that it was like $16 million, 4 years, $64 million they were signed him for. So, I mean, when you're making like 16, and at the time, I think that was what they signed him for, I think was, the most ever for a left tackle. So when you got that coming in, I mean, the guy tried, the guy played almost every game, as far as I can remember. He was a good teammate and all this stuff and everything, but when you're coming in there and they're giving you $16 million a year, 16 plus a year, to be the left tackle, and, you perform the way you did, I mean, very, very disappointing. I mean, thank goodness. I mean, same thing with Nate Solder tried when he was out there. Right? Same thing with Gettleman. Gettleman tried. He just screwed the F up. And of course, cost the Giants dearly. But it said now, thankfully he's gone. Okay, so now according to Spot Track, all right, what the Giants have three tackles on their roster now. All right, they got obviously Andrew Thomas, they got Matt Parrott, and they got Devry Hamilton. Yeah, Devry Hamilton. Okay, so basically, we got one starter. We got Andrew Thomas. Now, we're waiting, interested to see what they wind up doing with Matt Parrott. Now, the fact that Matt Parrott couldn't start in front of Nate Solder, that's not such a good sign. Andrew Thomas was locked in left tackle, so had Nate Solder there at right tackle. And, they just weren't putting Matt Parrott in there. I mean, to start in front of Nate Solder. So, I mean, even Rob Sale mentioned something like he doesn't have the fire, the nastiness or whatever. It just, he didn't have much comment on him. Yeah, good comment on him, so I don't know. I mean, some of his grades weren't bad, but I mean the fact that they're just not putting him in there, makes you kind of wonder why. Now, Shane is certainly obviously looking at the tape at Parrott, because he knows so much more than I do. I mean, he knows it's like, that they need to fix the offensive line. Obviously, we've been saying that for however many years. And now that Solder's gone, he knows he has three guys. He knows he has a left tackle. He doesn't know if he has anybody for the right tackle. So at least we have, free agency coming up, and we have the draft coming up. So we have a couple opportunities to to replenish the offensive line. Hopefully, who we're going to have for right tackle, who knows? And then this other thing is obviously for depth. You're going to need some depth. But, the thing is that, what happens if Andrew Thomas's ankle or feet keep popping up problems? Who are you going to have behind him? Because he had problems with his ankles. He did have surgery, and hopefully what I was reading is the surgery they're planning on, that Andrew Thomas had in January is supposed to hopefully fix the ankle problem. So, hopefully. But, you want to have good depth. That's huge. Now we're going to use some of our small cap money on a right tackle. Thankfully, it's better because, if you need a left tackle, some of these left tackles, are going to cost you. But, at least if it's a right tackle, they're a little more affordable. So, be interesting to see. March 16th, that's free agency. So, and next week is the combine starts. So we're gonna have all next week on the combine. So that'll be good and very, very interesting. Now, not including the practice squad. According to Spot Track, Giants only have 7 offensive linemen signed, and one of them is Nick Gates. Is he ever going to be able to play ever again? Is he going to be able to play this year? Don't know. So, you can say they got 7 guys signed, but you got to put a question mark next to it. It could only be 6. Right? And one of them is Devery Hamilton. All right. So I said, you don't even know. So we got the 3 tackles signed. We got the 1 center, who is Nick Gates. So you don't even know if you even have a center. Now, we could try to go back out, try to if we could re-sign Billy Price, who had a nice year for us, played the whole season. Got to give him a lot of credit. It cost us Hill. We had to trade Hill to the Bengals to get Price, but Price played all the games. He did a decent job. I don't know if he's part of the future or not, but if we don't try to sign him, we gotta get a center. I say, because you just might be gambling if you plan on having Nick Gates as your center come September, and then even at that, you still need somebody to back him up. So then we have 3 guards signed. We got Shane Lemieux, Ben Bredesen, and Wes Martin. Those are our guards. That's all we got. Very thin. So the Giants are thin on the O-line. Look for the Giants. To sign at least 2 offensive linemen. In the draft. Possibly 3. Quite possibly 3. They're gonna need it. Absolutely gonna need it. We got a quarterback. I don't know if he's the quarterback of the future, but we do have a quarterback. We got running backs. We do got wide receivers. We're a little thin on. We got tight ends, but we might have to get rid of a couple. We got wide receivers, but we might have to get rid of a couple. So it's going to be very, very interesting. What we use our free agency, a little bit of free agency money that we're going to have, and who we're going to spend our draft picks on. Now there are some good, obviously some good tackles out there as free agents. Problem is that some of the real good ones, are the left tackles. Now the Giants, they're not in a position, at least I don't think so, to come spend like $15 to $20 million on a fantastic free agent left tackle, because then you would have to move Andrew Thomas, right? But there's a few, nice right tackles out there who are, reasonably priced that, the Giants could have possibly afford if Shane can get rid of, or get like $40 million in cap space, right? There are some right tackles out there who the Giants could try to maybe target, who are like maybe $10 million and cheaper. That basically, none of them I see had any like connection at all to except for Kafka. One guy's got a connection with Kafka. So, but there's no connection with Dable or Shane. So, first one, Trent Brown. He's a right tackle. He was with the Patriots. He's only 29, or he'll be 29 this season. It was only $9 million. All right, which, for a right tackle is pretty good. According to Spot Track, his market value, this is what they come out with, his market value is $10 million. All right, he graded out last year to 73.8. He's got some experience. He did well with the Patriots, but sometimes you got to keep that in mind because the Patriots, they seem to get the best out of their offensive linemen. So sometimes, like Nate Solder, just because they do good with the Patriots and then they come to your team, don't expect sometimes maybe the absolute world from them. So, it might be the same thing with Trent Brown. He did good last year. You grade out, to 73.8. That's pretty good for your right tackle. But sometimes, as you say, we get them from another team and they come here. And if we don't have the good offensive line coach, or the right system, they don't quite do as well as they did with their other team. All right, but Trent Brown is certainly somewhere to think about. Jermaine Afidi, with the Bears, he was their right tackle. He's 28 years old. He didn't grade out super spectacular, but he was only $4.25 million last year. He only graded out at 61.8, but $4 or $5 million. That's not absolutely, certainly out of the Giants' price range. And then you got Morgan Moses. He was with the Jets. He was a right tackle. He's 31 years old, so he's got some experience. But he was only $4.25 million. Now, he graded out pretty well for him. He graded out at 71. Very, very good. His run block, he was better at a run blocking. His run blocking grade, he was a 74.9. His pass block grade was a 65.7. But for $4.25 million, he grade now on the Jets at a 71 and a right tackle. That's pretty good. So that's somebody else you keep an eye on. Then you got here's the little connection here. You got Mike Remmers. All right, actually, he's got connections with Kafka and the Giants, right? Because if you remember, he played for the Giants in the 2019 season. All right, then he spent the last 2 seasons with the Chiefs with Kafka, right? He only appeared in 4 games last year. They put him on injured reserve, so he hardly played at all. But he was only $3.3 million last year. Now it's a serviceable right tackle. Now you got one of those things you got to look at, like is he going to be better than Parrott? Because Parrott's a hell of a lot cheaper than all of these guys. We got Parrott for 2 more years. So I don't know if you're going to bring him Remmers for $3 or $4 million. Is he going to be that much better than Parrott? Who knows? But the Giants, obviously, they have to do something. Then there's Riley Reef. He was with the Bengals. I think he could play both right tackle and left tackle. But he was $7.5 million last year. He didn't grade out like super duper spectacular, but he's a serviceable tackle. As I said once again. We can only spend, obviously so much money, and, be interesting to see how Shane goes about it, Because if we have, like, say, $20 million, maybe a little bit more for free agents, he's not going to spend all $20 million. Obviously you can do things with guys' contracts and all that, maybe save $1 million or $2 here throughout the season, try to build up some extra cap room. But be interesting to see. Say if we have like $20 or $25 million worth of cap room, what does he do? Does he try to bring in like 3, 4, 5 guys at like $4 million a piece, or does he take like one good guy for $12 million or $13 million? Then he brings in a couple, like 3 other guys at like $2 or $3 million a piece. So it'd be interesting to see where he goes. Be interesting to see who he picks up. What his thinking is. What does he bring in? Does he try to bring in a big time free agent? Gettleman wasn't shy about that. He spent the money. Most of the time didn't seem like it worked out. Like with Kenny Galladay, or Nate Solder. He took some swings. He missed. So it'd be very interesting to see how Shane approaches this and the small amount of cap money that we have now. Now, obviously, next season, the cap's supposed to go up by at least, I was reading like about maybe $20 million or so next year. It's like 208, it's supposed to go into the 220s next year. So we're going to have a decent amount of, a little bit more cap room the following year. The only thing is that if we wind up signing, like say Daniel Jones is going to pretty much eat up all the additional cap space that we got in the 2023 season. But we'll have to wait and see. That's even if Daniel Jones makes it through this season. We'll have to wind up waiting and see. So we might, go in the draft, it would one of them, I would say, number 5 or number 7. I don't know if we would go back to back. We could use a center. Linderbaum is the top center out there. He, I was hearing as far as like on podcasts and all that and everything, he could probably use a little more size, a little more strength, because he had some problems with some of the bigger, more powerful guys, nose tackles going up against him in college. So, if he comes into the pros, I mean, I'm sure his technique and all and everything are going to be fantastic. I mean, you're not putting a center, in mock drafts anyway, in the top 10 or 15. I mean, if the guy ain't, technically very, very sound. Yeah, but I was reading is that, you're going to wind up, he's going to need some more strength, especially in the lower body and all, to be a real top center in this league. Because he got a couple of the games he got manhandled, So, I mean, I don't know if Linderbaum is going to be one of those guys we're going to wind up taking. But I did wind up saying, in the, so a lot of the mock drafts, there's a million of them out there. But, I mean, you don't know if Ekwonu is going to get to us. Is Neal going to get to us at number 5? Who knows? I mean, because if that's the case, where I saw some drafts where we might wind up taking Cross, too. I mean, that's a possibility as well. Then, of course, there's some guys that, who might be tackles, and we might want to bring them in, using them as a guard. So we'll have to wait and see there. But, I mean, if we wind up taking one of those guys at number 5 or number 7, then we might have Andrew Thomas, and then we'll have our right tackle. The problem is, hopefully, we can use Lemieux. He only had a small sample size last year, and the year before that, his pass blocking rate was really bad. So, I mean, as far as Shane, I don't know what he's looking at, if he thinks, Lemieux can be, decent or not. But, if we, I don't want to pick number 5 or pick number 7. If we take a tackle, hopefully we'll have our 2 tackles for the future. Now, they said, the one thing is that, is Shane going to want to gamble with Parrott? I mean, because just think about this. As bad as the Giants were all last season, okay, we were bad. All the times that Andrew Thomas was at left tackle, right? It was basically an open competition at right tackle, and Nate Solder had his worst, by Pro Football Focus. That's all I'm going by. Okay. Is graded out wise his worst season ever in the NFL, and he's been in season since 2011. He was the Patriots tackle, right, in the Super Bowl 46 against the Giants. That was his rookie season, right? So if you go all the way back to 2011, from 2011 he didn't play in 2020, right? But from 2011 to 2021, right? That's if he missed the one season, that would be 10 seasons he's played in. Last year, grading out wise, he's getting older, right? And by PFF, last year was his worst year ever, grading out wise. Okay, and as the bad as the Giants were, right? If they did not want to put Matt Parrott in there, starting in front of Nate Solder, what's that telling you about Matt Parrott? Now, it doesn't mean the Giants coaches were the best in the world, or maybe Billy Johnson, the new offensive line coach, can come in and maybe get the best out of Matt Parrott. Who knows? Maybe Matt Parrott, as the years go by, maybe in the offseason he gets more bulky, He works on his techniques. He gets stronger. Maybe he'll get better as time goes by. Who knows? Who knows how much he's working on his craft? I don't know. But I mean, if the Giants weren't putting him in at right tackle last year over Nate Solder, that's not saying a whole heck of a lot for Matt Parrott. So I mean, if Matt Parrott wasn't playing much next year, I mean, the good chance the Giants either in the draft or in free agency might be looking for a right tackle. Well, as always, guys, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to check out this video. You guys stay safe out there and go Giants. Woo!